Greetings and welcome to the Astronomy Picture of the Day podcast. Today's picture is titled The Dusty Surroundings of Orion and the Pleiades. So what do we see here? Well, here we see a very deep image of a large section of the sky. And we are actually looking at a composite image totaling 16 hours worth of exposure. So do you recognize anything in this image? Well, we're actually looking toward the constellation of Orion and Taurus. So we can see those as it is labeled here. We can see a number of the different things here, but we're looking at a very wide field view, what you would see without the aid of a telescope. So you don't need a telescope to see this, but you need a very long exposure bringing out all of the detail. So a long camera exposure of a relatively large area of the sky is what is needed. But that long exposure brings out all the detail that you wouldn't normally see. Normally what you would see here are some of the stars. They're very prominent. We see Betelgeuse listed down toward the bottom there, a very red star in the constellation of Orion. And you can see other stars in the constellation of Orion there as well, and most of them are included within that red glow just above and to the right of Betelgeuse. That's most of the entire constellation of Orion there. And we can see the Orion Nebula as well, labeled there. Now we can also see other stars up above in that we see Aldebaran, the bright star in the constellation of Taurus the Bull. And above that, we can see the Pleiades star cluster, an actual cluster of stars. That little blue glow right below star cluster is the Pleiades cluster. Now, these things would stand out in the sky if you looked at them because they're relatively bright and prominent to our eyes. However, when you take a longer exposure, you can bring out more detail, seeing things like the Orion Nebula. And if we go back down there, you can see Barnard's Loop, which is not labeled here, but is that little loop shape right around where it says Orion Nebula. That C shape is the Barnard's Loop. Now we can see other nebulae as well, the California Nebula toward the upper left-hand side, resembling the state of California in the United States. And that again is a red glow. The red glows that we see here are hydrogen gas when excited by the hot stars in around them. And that will cause them to glow. So it's very prominent in the Orion region because that's a very strong star-forming region, has very young hot stars, which are emitting the ultraviolet light that is needed to produce that red glow. Another red glow off to the right-hand side is the Eridanus Loop, another nebula, but again, that red glow of hydrogen gas. The other areas that glow are dustier. So that is more dust, larger, slightly larger clumps of material. And when I say dust, we tend to think of household dust. These particles are much smaller than that. They are vastly smaller than the typical dust that we associate when we hear the word. And then finally, down below the Eridanus Loop and closer to the Orion Nebula is the Witch Head Nebula. So we can see all these different nebulae as well without the aid of a telescope, but you need a very long exposure to bring out that detail. In this case, 16 hours of exposure to be able to see all of the detail that is present in this large region of our night sky. So that was our picture of the day, titled The Dusty Surroundings of Orion and the Pleiades. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture, previewed to be over Mars. So we'll see what that is about tomorrow. And until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.